Steelers Nation, buckle up, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are heading into a crucial stretch, and the buzz around this team is louder than ever. With one final practice on the south side before they board that NFL charter for Dublin, there's a lot to unpack, from injury updates to the deeper issues plaguing this defense. And while the offense has been under the spotlight all season, it's time we take a closer look at the other side of the ball, because this defense, man, it's not just been underperforming, it's been flat-out disappointing. Now, here's the deal. Joey Porter Jr. and Deshaun Elliott were both back at practice, albeit in limited fashion. And while limited participant isn't exactly a green light, the key word there is still participant. These are two guys this defense desperately needs, especially with how things have been unraveling on that side of the ball. Elliott went down with a knee injury in the opener, and Porter tweaked his hamstring. Both have been out for weeks. Patrick Queen also showed up as limited, dealing with bruised ribs, but let's be real, Queen is a warrior. He's going to play. It's the other two that are up in the air. One thing we do know for sure, though, is that Alex Highsmith will not be suiting up. And that's a blow, a big one. But let's zoom out a bit. The defense, as a whole, has been just as much of a problem as the offense, if not more so. It's easy to focus on the offense because it's where the points happen. It's flashy. It's what gets fans excited. But defense? Defense is about frustration. It's about stopping the fun. And right now, the Steelers aren't doing enough of that. Yes, they had some moments, like in Foxborough, where they forced 5 turnovers. That sounds great on paper. 4 of those were legitimate takeaways, not just gifts from the Patriots. That deserves credit. But here's the ugly truth. They're giving up an average of 386 yards per game. That ranks 5th worst in the league. 5th worst. That's unacceptable. You look at 3rd and 4th down conversions, and it gets worse. Dead last. Let that sink in. Worst in the entire league when it comes to getting off the field on money downs. It's not just stats either. You see it with your eyes. Missed tackles, miscommunication, busted coverages. The effort is there, sure, but execution? Not even close. And this is where guys like Porter and Elliott come into the picture in a big way. Because it's not just about having talent. It's about having the right talent doing the right things. Back in training camp at St. Vincent College, Porter was being used in ways we hadn't really seen before. He wasn't just out on the boundary playing man. He was being brought up close to the line, used almost like a disruptor in the backfield. It was aggressive, it was fresh, and it gave this defense something it's been sorely lacking: unpredictability. And that's the real issue. This defense doesn't surprise anyone. You line them up, and it's like putting up a big neon sign that says exactly what's coming. There's no deception, no creativity. Contrast that with what Minnesota's been doing under Brian Flores. Flores has that Vikings defense playing smoke and mirrors football. Same look pre-snap, totally different result post-snap. They're confusing quarterbacks, keeping offenses off balance. And what do we get in Pittsburgh? Predictability. That's not just on the players. That's coaching. That's scheme. That's a failure from Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin. Period. Now, think about what Porter was supposed to bring. When he went down, maybe some folks shrugged it off because Brandon Echols stepped in and played well, especially against the Patriots. But let's not pretend like Porter's absence didn't matter. It did. Same with Elliott. And what Elliott brings isn't just experience or physicality. It's efficiency. Last season, according to Next Gen Stats, Elliott set the NFL record for tackling efficiency. That's not a small deal. That's elite-level production. You want to know where the Steelers are right now in missed tackles? 2nd worst in the entire league with 34. Only the other Jets, have more. That's the difference Elliott makes. And his presence doesn't just plug one hole. It has a ripple effect. When he's not on the field, other guys have to shift around, play out of position, and that creates even more breakdowns. It's a domino effect. Picture this. You got a safety out of position. Someone else tries to cover for him. Now, 2 guys are out of position. It's chaos. And this isn't hockey, but that same principle still applies. You don't want a bunch of players scrambling to fix each other's mistakes. That's how you get beat. That's how you give up explosive plays. And opponents, man, they're not stupid. They watch film. They know where the weak spots are. And right now, the middle of the field is wide open for business. That's where Elliott is supposed to live. And without him, it's been a mess. Look, there's some speculation about whether the team will hold Elliott and Porter out through this weekend in Ireland and give them that added rest through the bye week. And yeah, in a normal scenario, that would make sense. Give them time. Let them heal. Don't risk aggravating anything. But nothing about this situation is normal. This defense doesn't have the luxury of time. It needs to get right, and it needs to get right now. There's no cushion, no margin for error. If these guys can go, even at 80%, you got to seriously consider putting them out there. Because whatever you're doing now clearly isn't working. And it's not just about individual performances. It's about identity. Right now, this defense doesn't have one. It's not dominant. It's not opportunistic. It's just average, at best. And for a team that has invested as much draft capital and free agency money into this unit as the Steelers have, that's not just disappointing, it's embarrassing. We've talked about it before, but the lack of development is starting to show. These aren't rookies anymore. These are third and fourth year guys. They should be making plays. They should be imposing their will. Instead, we're sitting here talking about basics, tackling, communication, alignment. That's coaching. And while we've all given some heat to the offensive staff, rightly so, the defense doesn't get a pass. They've got their own issues, and they're just as glaring. And now we're heading overseas. A whole new environment, a different vibe, and a golden opportunity to reset the tone. But it starts with getting guys like Elliott and Porter back on the field. It starts with being aggressive, being creative, and most importantly, being unpredictable again. Because if they keep doing the same things and expecting different results, this season is going to spiral fast. And Steelers fans? They've seen that movie before. Now let's shift gears a bit, because while the injuries and defensive struggles are taking over the headlines, there's another layer to this whole situation that can't be ignored: the offensive line. And more specifically, the coaching behind it. Steelers fans have been asking the same question for weeks, and it's starting to feel like the elephant in the room. At what point does offensive line coach Pat Myers start catching heat for what we're seeing or not seeing on the field? Look at someone like Dan Moore. He got his payday, sure, but does anyone really believe he's transformed into a high-level left tackle, even just an above-average one? The tape says otherwise. The data backs that up. And it's not just about Moore either. The Steelers have drafted and cycled through names like Kevin Dotson, Kendrick Green, players who had potential, who flashed ability, but ultimately never made that leap. That's not just bad luck. That's a sign something in the process isn't working. A good positional coach doesn't just coach the system. They develop players. They fix flaws. They elevate. Think back to when Mike Munchak was in town. That offensive line had an identity. They moved as one. They protected the quarterback and opened up the run game with consistency. And most importantly, they got better under his watch. You'd hear it straight from the players, too. Even a guy like Marquise Pouncey, who came into the league with star potential, would talk openly about how Munchak made him better. Not just the group, him personally. You don't hear that kind of praise around Meyer. Not from the players. Not from the results. And yet here we are, entering another critical stretch of the season with an offensive line that still looks shaky. Still looks like a work in progress. That's not where this team should be, not with how much they've poured into this group. At some point, the excuses run out. At some point, it's fair to ask, what exactly is the plan? Are they developing talent or just cycling through it, hoping someone magically figures it out? Even Aaron Rodgers name-dropped Meyer the other day, though not exactly in a glowing light. It was more like a shrug, acknowledging the coach, but not necessarily endorsing him. And that's where things get murky. Because if you're a coach in the NFL, the one thing you must be able to do is help your players grow. That's your job. Scheme matters, sure. But at the core of it, your job is to make individuals better, sharper, more reliable, more prepared. That's the bar. And right now, it's hard to say that bar is being met. The puzzling part in all this is the silence. There doesn't seem to be any indication that a change is coming, not publicly. And maybe that's just the Steelers' way. They're not a franchise that fires coaches mid-season. That's just not in their DNA. But when you look at the investment, all these picks, all this cap space, and You weigh that against the product on the field, it's hard not to feel like something is being prioritized here that shouldn't be. Stability is great, but blind loyalty? That's dangerous. Meanwhile, the offense continues to sputter. The line is missing assignments, failing to protect the quarterback at critical moments, and struggling to establish any kind of rhythm in the run game. All of that traces back to the trenches. And while, yes, players bear responsibility, the lack of growth year over year is glaring. That's a coaching issue, plain and simple. And yet the organization continues to operate as if this is fine, like everything's on schedule. But if this is the plan, it's not working. And Steelers fans know it. You can feel it. The frustration is building, not just from the losses, but from the sense that problems aren't being addressed. That there's no accountability for a unit that has all the tools but keeps coming up short. It's not all doom and gloom. There are a few bright spots. For example, rookie center Zach Frazier has shown some grit. He's not perfect, but he's fighting. And right tackle Troy Fautanu? There's something there. You can see flashes. You can feel the potential. But raw talent isn't enough. Those guys need nurturing. They need polish. They need a coach who's going to mold them into reliable anchors for years to come. The question is Meyer that guy? So far, the answer is leaning toward no. And this gets to a deeper issue with the Steelers' overall philosophy. They've always valued loyalty, consistency, patience. And those are good traits, to a point. But when the same problems persist year after year, when young players aren't developing, when your offense looks like it's stuck in mud, you have to ask the tough questions. You have to be willing to make uncomfortable changes. Because the rest of the league isn't waiting. The league evolves. It adapts. If you're standing still, you're falling behind. And right now, the Steelers feel like a team stuck in neutral. It doesn't have to be this way. There's still time to turn this season around. There's still time to get the most out of this roster. But it's going to take more than just effort. It's going to take accountability. It's going to take vision. And most importantly, it's going to take leadership, not just from the head coach, but from every coach on that staff. That includes the guy in charge of the offensive line. If the Steelers want to get serious about fixing the offense, they've got to start in the trenches. Because until that line starts playing with confidence, cohesion, and consistency, the rest of the offense is going to keep spinning its wheels. And the longer that goes on, the more you have to wonder how long this coaching staff can keep convincing themselves that everything is fine. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A tense standoff on the field has sent shockwaves through Pittsburgh. What began as a seemingly routine play quickly escalated into a heated confrontation between Steelers rookie sensation Pickens and veteran cornerback Joey Porter Jr. Witnesses claim that a one-to-one matchup spiraled out of control, culminating in shouting, shoving, and a visible clash of tempers that left teammates and coaches scrambling to intervene. Sources close to the team suggest this is more than a momentary flare-up. While the Steelers have yet to release an official statement, insiders hint at simmering tensions in the locker room. Pickens, known for his competitive fire and standout performance since joining the roster, apparently clashed with Porter Jr., whose family legacy in Pittsburgh comes with high expectations. The collision of youthful ambition and seasoned pride may be igniting cracks in what has been considered a tightly knit squad. Teammates reportedly tried to separate the two before the incident escalated further, but the intensity of the exchange has left fans and analysts speculating about potential fallout. Could this be a sign of deeper discord within the team's secondary? Some insiders whisper that this confrontation may have been brewing behind closed doors for weeks, and this on-field incident merely brought it into the open. The Steelers' coaching staff is said to be in damage control mode, balancing the need to maintain discipline with the desire to protect the team's emerging talent. Observers note that while tempers flare in professional sports, the public nature of this clash, combined with social media buzzing with clips of the confrontation, has only magnified its impact. While no official punishments have been announced, murmurs suggest that both Pickens and Porter Jr. could face internal fines or team meetings to smooth over tensions. Fans are left wondering whether this was an isolated moment of heat or the beginning of a more serious locker room crisis. One thing is clear. Pittsburgh is watching closely as what was supposed to be a routine practice or game scenario has now become a simmering storyline that could define the Steelers season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.